So I worked with the Bill Lane Center for the Study of the American West, and that's a group of historians who are particularly interested in the Western U.S., which is an area that I've covered for years in my journalism. And they have a whole sort of team of research assistants in computer science and electrical engineering who are thinking about how to tell stories spatially. They work with the Spatial History Lab as well. So I got to know a number of people there and worked on some projects with them. And then beyond Silicon Valley, I was just at Google a couple days ago talking to folks. You know, some of it was I wasn't sure if it was just that I wasn't tech savvy enough to know that what I wanted to do was really easy, but I just didn't know how to do it, or if the sorts of problems I was looking at were actually hard problems. And so some of it has been learning that. So for example, I'm interested in mining audio for place names so that then you can figure out what places any given audio story or radio story is about, so that then you can more easily put the archives in a geotagged way sort of on the landscape. And that's actually a really hard thing to do for a lot of reasons, but it's not necessarily an impossible thing to do. And when you talk to engineers at Google, they say, we've been thinking about those things too. And so that's an exciting moment. Oh, okay, well, let's see if we might be able to do something that would benefit journalism in general and be the sorts of problems that you Google brilliant engineers want to think about. But I think that there are definitely a number of people that I've met on campus who come from very different sort of intellectual backgrounds and have a huge passion for news. There's this fine line between, especially if you want to get the attention of a computer science wizard, there's sort of the fine line between a problem that is so simple that it's boring to them and that's so impossible that they know they're not going to be able to do it in 5 years. But if you find this sort of sweet spot in the middle where they call them non-trivial problems. There's trivial problems and then there's non-trivial problems. And non-trivial, that's the space they like to work in, where they're actually breaking new ground. And so sometimes that's a place that journalists, maybe it's not necessarily the best use of a journalist's time to be focusing on those problems, but I think that there are also, if you can get journalists and computer science wizards in the same room saying, what are some interesting problems that would benefit both of us? I think that's a good space to be in. I think at this point there's a lot of people in the computer science field who are aware of the fact that their work has unleashed all of this data on people. And while that's amazing and interesting and has very profound ramifications, we are sort of drowning in a sea of data right now and a sea of information. And so the challenge, a lot of the things that they're working on is how to make sense of that information. And that is something that they are interested in and that we as journalists that's what we do. So I think that is the area where there's a lot of common interests.